How about that, Cowboys?
Good evening and welcome to The Score. Hello, everyone. I'm Babe Laufenberg. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are coming to you live from San Antonio. And without further ado, let's welcome Cowboys quarterback, starting quarterback, Tony Romo. First time in camp, we can say that.
Yeah,
the start of camp.
It's been a fun ride so far, but this is a neat experience this year for sure.
You know what I found interesting, Tony? Okay, every year during training camp, I've had you on. Okay, I had you on, and everybody said, "Well, who's that quarterback that you had on?" This year, and all I did was go up to you at practice and say, "Hey, Tony, can you do our show Sunday?" You say, "Hey, I'd love to. I'm not doing anything." This year, I've got to go through I got to go through the PR staff, the CIA, the FBI. I've got to get clearance to have you on. Times have changed.
No, it's not that bad, but I think there's a little more demand on your time from the media, personalities like yourself. But you just try and help out the ones you really like, and you go from there.
You called me a personality. That's good. A media personality. I love that. I used to just be a media schmuck. Hey, obviously you know things are different. The reception you received on Tuesday night at the kickoff party, that was kind of a wow factor, was it not?
Yeah, I mean, it almost felt like we were at kind of like a concert in some ways, and that people are coming there to see you perform or something. And it was really neat because you're there, and I've never really experienced a feeling of love or like that from fans in that sense, and it's just exciting, and it's just a great feeling.
When you said it almost felt like a concert, you weren't going to break into "Don't Stop Believing," were you? I mean, that didn't cross your mind.
No, I was going to avoid that a little bit, but I love that song. I really enjoy it.
And you look out, you come to practice down here, and of course there's a tremendous amount of support down here in San Antonio for the Cowboys, and you see all these number 9 jerseys. I mean, I wouldn't imagine they could have printed them up fast enough, and it truly does. It rivals the number 8 jerseys back in the day. Now, I will say this, he had to compete with 22 jerseys and 88 jerseys at that time. But is that kind of cool to look up and you see all these kids and everybody else wearing number 9 jerseys?
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel good. I mean, the bottom line is I grew up in Wisconsin and kind of had this feeling of, idolizing the Packers in some ways and some of their players, and you never really think that anyone's going to look at you in that way, and I still don't even know what people do. It's just, when you're out there, you see a kid wearing your jersey, it's just kind of like, if you ever sat back and thought about it for a second, it's kind of neat. I mean, that kid thinks something about you in some good way. And
well, that number 9 jersey to the Texas kid is like that number 4 jersey to a Wisconsin kid. We're getting there.
We've got to win a few more games first.
This camp is different for you, though. It's the first time, and I understand you had the experience of starting last year and starting a playoff game. It's the first time, though, you walked into that first practice in the Alamo Dome. You walked out of that tunnel and you said, "This is my football team." How does it feel different to you?
I never really look at it from a third person and say, "Hey, look at what I'm doing. Look at how this is feeling now," or stuff like that. Whenever I walked out of the locker room, I felt confident, I guess. Mm-hmm. Whether or not I was any good, I don't know, but you have to step on the field feeling confident. I just feel like now you have this sense of, hey, maybe you're kind of pretty good at something. And if that's the case, it's so much more fun. It's more fun when you develop your skills and become a better player, because when you go out there and you connect on 5 straight passes or something, and that's really fun. When you go 3 for 5, it's not as much fun. So the fun factor in the whole thing is just really at a high right now.
And I know in the 4 years previously, obviously you worked very hard to get to this point, and you approached practice and all that the same way. But before, if you had a bad practice, it really didn't affect a whole lot of people. Now, if you come out and have a bad practice, Wade Phillips is saying, "Geez, are we going to win a game with this guy?" And Jerry Jones is saying, "Well, what?" It's a different feeling, is it not? You're setting the tone for the football team.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we've only had a few practices here so far, but they've all gone pretty well so far. But we joke around sometimes about it as quarterbacks, because it feels like, if we had an average day at the quarterback position, then it feels like, oh, the team had an average day. Maybe the defense played great today. Right. But if you're missing or things happen as a quarterback, you really set the tempo of the day, and all of a sudden it feels like you didn't have a good practice as a team, when sometimes the reality just might be the quarterback didn't. And he sets so much of the tempo that really it's a lot of it's on your shoulders to make everything go smooth.
Now you know what those poor head coaches are going through.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? How about Jason Garrett, new offensive coordinator? Of course, Cowboy fans are familiar with Jason from his playing days here. But you two, I see you during practice. I see you kind of high-five a little bit after a good throw, and I see a little bond developing. Am I misled on that?
Yeah, I really don't like Jay all that much.
There we go. Let's talk about that.
No, I'm kidding.
A little controversy. You know we're just going to run that fight now.
Yeah, I know.
Controversy in Cowboys camp. I don't like Jason Garrett.
And this will be the last time I do this show. No, I think honestly, me and Jay get along great. I think he's got a real good personality. You know, he's played in the league for a lot of years, and so it makes it easy to connect. You know, he knows when there's a good throw that you made and when there was just a normal throw. So it's easy to talk to someone like that, and he's got a great mind for the game. You know, and I'm just lucky enough to be around here and be a part of it.
Does it bother you at all that he tries to be a little bit more youthful by dyeing his hair red?
You know, I got to be honest. I don't really know what color really his hair is. You know, it could go either way. I know people call him Red Ball, so maybe at the end of the day he started off as a redhead.
That was his question when he was playing. Somebody asked Barry Switzer, does it bother you that he dyes his hair red? Barry Switzer said, I think that's his natural color. All right, let's Bill Parcells. Now, a lot of bows have been risen up and arrows have been shot at Bill Parcells since he has left. You're a guy.
Not for me.
Yeah, well, he benched a guy that had 40,000 passing yards in the NFL for an undrafted guy from Eastern Illinois. Not a lot of coaches probably would have done that.
I don't know what he was thinking.
No matter what happens with your career, Tony, will you always have some sense of debt that, hey, this guy kind of took a chance on me and made a stand and said, this is going to be our guy?
You know, people can say what they want about Bill and, you know, whether they really liked him or didn't like him, whatever. But for me, personally, I couldn't imagine my career having gone any other way. You know, the first 4 years of my career being with a guy like him, well, forever, I mean, it's going to, he shaped the way I think the rest of my career will go in a way. And not that it's going to go great or bad, but he just allowed me to probably achieve as much as I probably can by being around him. I learned so much that I feel like I'm going to take over the next 10 years of my career. And I think a lot of that was through him. And I feel like that's going to allow me to be as good a player as I possibly can be. You know, whatever that may be, I don't know. But I think, you know, I owe a lot to him, and I'll always respect, you know, him, and I feel like I owe him a debt of gratitude in some ways.
Obviously, there are a whole new set of coaches here, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback coach for you. At any point during practice, something happens, are you kind of ready for what Bill's comment would have been? Like, hey, Romo, you know, one of those? Do you hear it in the back of your mind?
You know, I mean, I don't really hear it anymore because sometimes Jay's got another smart one like that,
okay.
Garrett. But really, Bill, I loved Bill just because he made practice and anytime you're out there throwing important. He made it always really important, and it was very competitive, and I'm a competitive guy, and I enjoy the competitive situations, and when you can win or lose out there each day, it's fun. It's funner for me, and I felt like he always did that, and I thought I would probably miss that once he left, but I've been lucky enough, and his team has, that we got some coaches that still, you know, put that type of pressure on you and you know, make it so that when you perform each day, it's important.
Nobody has said to you, hey, Tony, the bullets are flying, you just haven't been hit yet. Any of those Parcells witticisms?
No, I think hopefully my rookie year in that sense is over with it for starting. But, you know, you learn a lot when you play the game and you go through 10 games. And I felt like, you know, I learned a lot last year. I felt like I've improved immensely coming into this season. And I've worked hard, you know, to put myself in a position hopefully to succeed this year. But we'll see.
All right, you got time to stick around for a couple more minutes?
Sure.
All right, Tony Romo is going to join us. He's going to violate curfew. He's going to take the fine for this show. Stick with us. Tony will be back in a minute. Plus, last year,